When we all first started in 1984, we didn't have a premise. We didn't have a building. We were all RCMP on Friday, but on Monday we were all CSIS. My name is Don Mahar. I spent 15 years in the RCMP and the RCMP Security Service, 20 years with the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, and 6 years in the Communications Security Establishment, all here in Ottawa, a number of years in Africa, and a shorter period in Hong Kong.
What was the mood like in the RCMP Security Service during the McDonald Commission?
Well, that's a long time ago. I think it was fairly difficult. During the commission itself and before the decision was made to separate the RCMP Security Service from the RCMP, it was pretty dark. There were new admissions coming out all the time during the commission hearings, where I would suggest that the vast majority of the RCMP members knew nothing about. Most of those admissions were coming out of the province of Quebec. It was always difficult to hear things being said that we knew nothing about. It gave bad publicity for all of us. We were all very proud of the RCMP, very proud of the work that was being done, but it was hurtful to hear some of the things that were being talked about in the press, in Parliament. We didn't know what was going to happen to our future. I think it was a pretty dark period.
What was the transition from the security service to CSIS like?
Well, by this time, a lot of time had passed. A lot of people were still curious as to what the future was going to look like. Once the decision was made, and once we were told what the transition was going to look like, then decisions had to be made. For me, there was no real decision to make. I knew I was going to go to the new service. Certainly there were people that either chose not to go over, and some that did return. But there was no question in my mind. I knew CSIS was what I had in my mind even before I joined the RCMP. Since 1984, there was never any question that I'd go back to the RCMP. And year after year, even though the first few years of CSIS were difficult, year after year it only got better and better. And as I became more seasoned in the service, and as I became more senior in the service, it just got better and better. And it was probably the best years of my life.
What were the biggest challenges with the new service?
The bigger challenges were at the very beginning, clearly. The Canadian public didn't know who we were. When we went knocking on doors, they had recognized and understood and had a relationship with who the RCMP were. When we went knocking on doors at the very beginning, we had to explain we were the RCMP, but now we're CSIS. We don't have the proper identification, and I'm talking at the very, very beginning. It was a selling job, but we were selling ourselves as opposed to trying to make them understand who CSIS was. We didn't have to do that under the RCMP. And that's probably one of the very first hurdles we had in the early years. And that was a problem. When we all first started in 1984, we didn't have a premise. We didn't have a building. At the very beginning, we were all RCMP on Friday, but on Monday we were all CSIS. We were working in the same building. We were working at the same desks. So these things all became problematic. Some of the concepts we had changed overnight, and that was difficult. The RCMP came down, and they removed all the CPIC machines from our offices because we were no longer law enforcement officers. We no longer had the police powers of arrest. We no longer had handguns because we were no longer peace officers. So those things took a little while to get used to. So those are challenges. But we got over those challenges.